Jackie Bishop.
And welcome to another season of Browns Insider with Bill Belichick. And another Browns season many believe will end in the playoffs. You know, this is the fourth year of the Belichick system, and Jackie, I spent a lot of time with this team during the preseason, as you know, and I really like what I see. I think there's a tremendous blend here of veteran leaders combined with a lot of young talent looking to make its mark in the NFL.
Well, Jim, we've got Pro Bowlers, Eric Metcalf, Michael Dean Perry, and other standouts include Eric Turner, Stephon Moore, Anthony Pleasant, Rob Burnett, Tony Jones, Tommy Vardell.
Right, to say nothing of the newcomers like cornerback Don Griffin, who started for 8 seasons with the 49ers. So we've got tight end Walter Reeves, linebacker Carl Banks, and let's not forget #1 draft choice Antonio Langham, who will start against the Bengals.
And you will meet and hear from all these players throughout the season on the Browns Insider with Bill Belichick, where we'll bring you inside scoop every week.
And we'll have football, and more football. We'll have scouting reports from Doug Deacon on the upcoming opponents, highlights of the previous games. We'll take you inside the huddle each week, and our footage will put you on the sidelines.
Resident comedian Mike Veneman is with us each week, and he shares this kind of strange approach to the world of football. This week he talks about the new rules. We'll also have memorable moments from Browns history, and each week we will profile a player, and this week that'll be quarterback Vinny Testaverde.
And more football, beginning with a look at what the players did over in the dormitory rooms during training camp. We'll kick all of that off when we come back with Bill Belichick. Stay tuned.
Ready to go. We got Cincinnati down in Riverfront in the jungle and a big division game. Time to get started.
Bill, let's get right to it. Your players, owner Art Modell, some members of the media, everybody is saying that this is a good Browns team. Now, I know you're fired up about it, but why don't you tell me and the fans why we should get excited about this Browns squad?
Well, Jim, I really like our football team. I'm very confident with the players that we have and the attitude we've got. I like the way that our first and second and third year players have come along in the last couple of years, starting with Turner's class and then Vardell and Everett's class of draft choices. I think we've got a good quarterback situation with Mark and Vinny. And I like the players that we've added, the veteran free agents, who are really quality people. Carl Banks, Ernest Biner, Mark Ripien, Donnie Griffin, Walter Reeves. They're good football players, and they're good, solid individuals.
Bill, as you know, I spent a lot of time with your team during the preseason, and I really like the chemistry. I mean, these guys, they worked hard, they pushed each other, and yet they seem to be having fun out there.
Well, we did work hard, Jim, and we spent an awful lot of time together, and I think in that time you either build chemistry or you go a little wacky. Maybe we did a little bit of both. But we're heading into this game, I think, in the right frame of mind. We've got good confidence going into the start of the season, and that's important.
Well, I do sense a real team spirit and confidence, and yeah, you're right, a little wackiness, too. So I think Jackie's got more on that for us.
Oh, is this the Wacky with Jackie segment?
Right.
Yeah.
Wacky, unusual, a little bit strange. You always find that when you find our resident comedian Mike Veneman, who spent some time at the Browns camp in the dorms with the players. The players, of course, spend 5 weeks there with an 11 o'clock curfew, and Mike wondered what went on in the dorm. So here's the report from 900 pounds of starting offensive linemen.
Browns training camp, which can only mean one thing: another season of Cleveland Browns football. Over the years, camp has meant preparation for the upcoming season. A time to say goodbye to the family. A time for rigorous classroom study. And two-a-day practices in 90-degree heat. But what really happens when practice is over and the players go back to the dorms?
I'll get it.
So it's Williams.
Mike, what's going on? Hey, man, you're just in time. You want to play a little cards?
Oh, yeah.
All right, man. Let's do it.
Let's deal them.
I don't know any other kind of gambling where you can lose so quickly.
Hey, this is great. What are we going to play? 5-card stud? What are we going to AC
No,
Doocy?
we're playing straight fish.
Fish?
Yeah.
Fish?
Stupid.
Stop joking.
Hey, Steve, you got any aces? Go fish. Shoot. I think you're cheating. Oh, he picked up one. Hey, show me your... You guys are too good for me. I'm out of here. No, let's play a little Nintendo. Yeah, all right. You got a Nintendo? Yeah, I got a Nintendo. Let's play a little Super Barbie.
So you guys are bailing on me?
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're cheating, Chris. I mean, Steve.
We're frightened of saying things like that.
Try another outfit. I want her in that red one. Yeah, the red's
The red one's good, man.
Come on, come on. Come on with the red. Oh, come on, Steve. The red one. Come on, Steve. Come on, baby. Hey, that's a teal. That's a Donna Karen, I think. The teal's not working for me, though.
I don't think I ever in my life was really ashamed before.
Look, we want the red, red. Give me red. We need red. 1, 2, 3, red. Oh! No, that's not it. I'm trying to get it. All right, what? Red. 1, 2, 3, red.
She's beautiful.
Hello, Fredder. Yes, sir. Your refrigerator's running? You gotta let him out then.
No, that's not it.
That was the last one.
Sandwich.
What?
Yeah, can you connect me with Coach Bill Belichick's room, please? Thank you. Hello, Bill. This is I. Listen, you've been working the boys real hard, and I want you to give them the week off, you know, and give those guys in the trenches. I want to have a raise, you know. So, get back to work yourself, though, all right? Thank you.
Hey, I've never tried that.
So, like, if you were watching TV, Ginger or Marianne, who would it be?
Who would we pick?
Yeah, Ginger or Marianne?
Ginger all the way.
No.
No, Marianne.
No.
Yeah, who then?
Who's left?
The
Mrs.
professor?
Howell?
Oh, not Mrs.
Get
Howell.
out of here.
Oh, money,
Shake
yeah.
that one.
I'll give you that with her. Hey, did you watch that Barney episode where he told the kids not to cross the street?
Yeah, I did.
That
I
was
love
pretty
Barney.
cool.
Barney's cool.
Baby Bob, I like that.
He's the coolest purple dinosaur I know.
Yeah, that is cool.
How about that song? You like that song?
Yeah, let's sing it. I love you.
I like it.
Hey, I got that. Let's do horror stories, man.
Cool.
Ghost stories. You got a ghost story?
How about the dude with the hook arm?
Nah, we've heard that one. Hey, give me a horror story, man.
How about the headless horseman?
Headless Horseman's no good. Bob, come on, man.
Hey, I got one. I got a good one.
All right, what is it, man?
All right, a couple years back,
Yeah.
I played for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, how horrible.
Lights out.
All right. Shh. Yeah, let's go to bed. Good night, Jane.
Good night, Mike.
Good night, Bob.
All right, good night, Steve.
Isn't he wonderful?
Bill, they must have edited out the excuse me.
Yeah, I think we let him out of the dorms just in time, Jim.
I think you're right. When we come back, we're going to get a scouting report on the Bengals from Doug Deacon, and we'll see if you agree with him. Don't forget, with the Cleveland Browns.
14 years for the Browns, Jim.
I think you're exactly right, 14. Anyway, Doug's going to give us his insight into the upcoming opponents each week.
Hey, wasn't that my job last year?
Well, it was, but like every coach at every level, you know, you gave us a little information, but you made every team sound like the Steelers of the 70s.
Yeah, that bad, huh?
Well, bad, no. Tame, yes. I mean, you know, did all you coaches sign a pact or something that says we will never say anything that will fire another team up? Or...
Well, all except for Buddy Ryan and Sam White.
Good examples. Okay, here's Doug, the first time out.
Thanks, Jim, and I can tell you, it's not one of my favorite places to play. I remember blowing out an elbow down there and walking off the field to go to the hospital and a fan yelling, "Hey, 73, don't forget where you got it." So when the Browns go down there this time, they can't spot the Bengals 14 points like they did in last year's opener. Yeah, there'll be some Browns fans down there this year, but on the other hand, it's those Bengals fans that you got to watch out for, and what you've got to do is take them out of the game early. Now, the second thing is to listen to this game on the Browns radio network, because on TV, they're going to have a former Bengal, Chris Collinsworth, do the game. And, you know, Chris Collinsworth is a guy a couple years ago that challenged Eric Metcalf's manhood. So the key, make Chris eat his words. The third thing is a special request. Give the linemen an aggressive protection early in the game. Win the first 2 or 3 passes and let them chop the legs out of those big trees on the Bengals' defensive line. This kind of sets the tone and lets the offensive linemen do the intimidation. Here, Detroit just waits for them to come. In the running game, I'd run it Alfred Williams, number 94. Injury report says he has a sore back, so why not check it out? But on the inside, Big Daddy, number 99 here, you've got to make sure of the seal block and get to that second level and not let him split the double team as the Detroit Lions do here. In the passing game, here's the matchup you want to get. Metcalf on number 29 here, Lewis Oliver. Big-time run support, but a weak link in coverage. Plus, he's coming off an injury, and his endurance has to be checked. But down below here, you have number 43, Michael Brim. In the paper, it said he had a fractured hand. If you watch this jam, he misses it. And the Detroit Lions, well, they end up with 6.
All right, Bill, let's cover some of these points Deke made there. What about taking the crowd out of the game?
Well, Jim, I think that's always important. You want to try to get off to a good start on the road and quiet everybody down. But at some point in the game, we're going to have to play through some noise.
All right, now what about Collinsworth and his eating habits?
Well, you know, Collinsworth's been off on a few other things before, and, you know, he's a guy who predicted the Reds manager would be fired and all that, so I wouldn't go too much on what Chris says.
All right, now, Deke says it's very important to negate that defensive pass rush. He wants to take the legs out from those guys.
Typical attitude of an offensive lineman going into a game. But I do think it's important to keep the defensive line, especially a good front seven like the Cincinnati Bengals, off balance with screens, draws, mixing up some cut blocking, going outside, going inside. I don't think you can just do one thing and let them tee off on you all day.
What about running right at Alfred Williams?
Well, Williams is a converted linebacker to a defensive end. He is a little bit of an undersized guy for an end, but he's a good athlete. He's very quick, and you have to be careful because he'll jump around blocks and make plays, but he's not as big as some people will face at that position.
All right, now Coach Deacon says that you need to get Metcalf isolated on Oliver.
Well, I think if we can get Eric isolated on any of their safeties, that's a mismatch for us, or their linebackers for that matter. So if we can create that situation, we'll try to do it. They try to keep you from getting to that isolation, right. So it's a little bit of a chess game.
Now, Bill, obviously, Doug mentioned the fact that Brim has the fractured hand. That can cause him some real problems.
Yeah, especially in terms of jamming receivers and tackling. And, you know, we feel like with our big backs, Tommy and Leroy, if we can get them out into the open field against those little corners, that we can run over them for some extra yards. We did a good job of that against the Colts, and I think normally that's an advantage that we have if we can get them the ball out in space.
All right, let's go back to Doug now and see what defensive keys he has for the Browns this week.
On defense, the #1 priority would be to shut down the running game of Green, Fenner, and Broussard. If they're going to beat you, make them do it with that young and inexperienced quarterback that hasn't shown a lot of consistency. And in the running game, one of their favorite plays is the trap play. And one of their favorite people to trap, Michael Dean Perry. And with his fresh legs, you can imagine he's going to be off the ball, so he's going to have to close down the hole, unlike this tackle here from the Eagles, who gets blown out. In the passing game, you have to be aware of their bunch receiver group. In other words, 3 receivers together that kind of spread like a flock of birds. The other thing is the tight end, McGee, you got to hold him up a little bit at the line of scrimmage because he's a pretty good one. And once they release, you have to hold your defensive responsibilities. Here you see they've got 3 on 1, and McGee is all by himself. And finally, Jim, tell the coach to come home with one of these. Not the fan, the W.
All right, we'll get back to that W in just a moment, but Coach, what about those traps on Michael Dean first?
Well, Jim, the Bengals have an excellent running game. They've averaged almost 5 yards a carry in preseason. They got good backs with Fenner, Ball, Green, Broussard, and there's no doubt that they'll try to trap Perry, maybe draw him, and run some outside plays. So that's definitely an area of their game that's very strong that we'll have to stop.
All right, now, Klingler is a young quarterback, relatively inexperienced, and it's probably pretty good philosophy to put it on him.
Well, yeah, I think the best way to take him away is to put pressure on him. We got 2 big fumbles in the games last year, which helped set up scores in both games that we won, and I think getting pressure on Klingler is a big key.
All right, now what about that bunch receiver formation they use, where they put those 3 guys out there, and then sitting over there is that tight end McGee, who's pretty good?
Well, it's tough. We've been working on that all week. It's a tough combination, and McGee's an excellent tight end, as you mentioned, but they do a good job with those receivers and backs coming out of the backfield, especially Broussard, of putting everybody together and then spreading them out, and it's hard to keep track of them sometimes.
All right, now the big question that Doug asked, and we will too, what about that W?
Well, that's the only reason why we're going down to Cincinnati is to win the game. There's no other reason.
All right, Coach. When we come back, we'll look at a memorable moment from the Browns-Bengals series that features Hall of Famer Leroy Kelly in a come-from-behind win. Browns rivalry business?
No, I think they definitely do, Jim. This is a big division game. It's a big rivalry in state between the 2 teams, and We've played a lot of close games against the Bengals in the past. They've been very competitive, and I think that's definitely the way the players feel about it.
Well, as you know, there have been many memorable games played in this 24-year rivalry, and one of the biggest was in 1971 when the Browns came from behind on the legs of their newest Hall of Famer, Leroy Kelly. Let's watch.
The Browns and Bengals enter their 24th season of interstate rivalry. Both teams have taken their share of victories within the series. But one of the most memorable games took place back in 1971. The two teams met for only the 4th time in this key Central Division matchup. And 8-year veteran Leroy Kelly was to play a key role. From opening kickoff to final gun, the two rivals went stride for stride. The lead changed several times before Cincinnati took a 27-21 lead with 8 minutes to play. This is when the running tandem of Leroy Kelly and Bo Scott would most make their presence felt. With little time remaining, Kelly found the end zone and helped give the Browns a 31-27 victory, helping Cleveland on their division title drive.
Okay, Bill, might we see another memorable moment this time?
Well, I'd rather get an early lead and keep it, to tell you the truth.
I agree.
That Leroy Kelly was a spectacular runner, and he made so many runs on a muddy field like that one we just saw there in Cincinnati. Browns fans have really been privileged to see the legacy of runners that we've had here with Leroy Kelly, Bobby Mitchell, Marion Motley, and of course Jim Brown, all Hall of Famers. Just a great tradition of runners here in Cleveland.
And all great, good people too. I mean, that's really important as well. But let's bring it back to the present for a moment. We're going to see a lot of new rules in the NFL this season. Do you like them?
Well, I don't think it really matters if I do or not. We're going to have to play with them. But I think the rule that will really affect the game quite a bit is the new kickoff rule with the 1-inch tee and kicking from the 30-yard line. It puts a lot more emphasis on our kickoff coverage and kickoff return units.
And on the long field goals, the missed ones come back to the point of the kick, too. Is that going to give you some second thoughts about attempting the long ones?
Oh, absolutely, Jim. I think we're going to see a lot more pooch punting by the offensive team, and rather than try those 55-yarders, because you'd be giving up some field position there.
All right, Bill, here's the big question. After that first touchdown against the Bengals, you're going to go for 2.
Well, I might.
Okay. Jackie, what do you think of the new rules this year?
Jim, I think they've made it very difficult for cornerbacks to cover receivers. The enforcement of the 5-yard chuck rule in the preseason made for a lot of pass interference calls in the games that I watched, so I guess that kind of remains to be seen. Now, our resident comedian Mike Veneman, also known as Harley Tucker, has this view of some of the new rules.
Hello, my name's Harley Tucker, and welcome to my truck. I want to talk with you about the new football rule changes. Do you like them? I hate them. They got the 2-point conversion. Well, that's ridiculous. It makes the game more exciting, they say. You want to make the game more exciting, put your moat in the middle of the field. Throw you some crocodiles in there. That'll liven things up. Then they make the kickers kick off from the 30-yard line because their legs are just too strong. Well, la-dee-da, excuse me for being good. Maybe the kick returners are scared of running the ball back out. Put your big old screen in the back of the end zone like they do in that arena football. Earn your money, sons. Run it out. And then what do? They say when you kick off the ball, you got to use a 1-inch tee. Well, look at that thing. How are you supposed to kick with that? The football don't even fit on it. It's ridiculous. And how about the defensive backs? They're not allowed to chuck the receivers no more. Oh, poor little things. What they supposed to do? Grab them by the hands, walk them out there and say, throw the ball to them. Won't let them catch it. It's ridiculous. And then you're not allowed to touch the quarterback no more. Even if you call his mama a name, it's a 15-yard penalty. You know, in order to touch the quarterback, you got to put him in a nightgown and take him out to dinner. It don't make a dang bit of sense. And then the quarterback, they get scared. They can't hear it because of all the big old crowds. Well, excuse us for buying a ticket. They've got these new little cameras and these little microphones here they talk to their coaches with. Oh, come on, give me a break. Look at this here. Stick it on your head, you can't remember the play, so you talk over to your coach and say, hey, coach, I forget the play. What am I supposed to run?
Well, for the Burger King, can I take your order?
Well, now that you mention it, give me one of them there triple cheeseburgers.
Fans and 70 million on TV. Don't want to see a 3-0 game.
I think you're right. When we come back, we'll spend some time with the quarterback, Vinny Testaverde, who, to say the least, had a very unusual 93 season.
Well, Jim, you know, it's probably not bad to say he had a plain old weird 1993.
Sure
I mean,
did.
he started the season off with this cloud of uncertainty, you know, having been a starter and then, you know, a backup player. The sun shone brightly for him for a while, then he had the injury, the clouds come back, and maybe the best way to say is right now he's got a big ray of sunshine and all things are possible. Let's take a look. The sun will come up tomorrow, and when it did, it was 1994, and the Browns field general was number 12, Vinny Testaverde.
I think it's great for the players to be able to have tradition within their team, because on Sunday when you come out and you step on the field, you think about the Jim Browns, the Warfields, those guys that played here in the past, and you just want to keep that great tradition up and go out and win a football game for the city of Cleveland. Well, I remember watching as a kid, and you know, this is exactly how it looked on TV, and to actually be here playing on the field, I mean, words can't describe what a feeling it is for me to be out here on the field that I grew up watching as a child.
Maybe sort of your brief summation, Vinny, of the 93 year. You know, now you're able to stand back, you look back. What was that year?
Well, it was a year of mixed emotions, mixed thoughts for me anyway. Coming in as a backup last year, really, I don't know if many people know this little story, but we were up in Wisconsin in camp in preseason, or actually before preseason, and I really wasn't getting many reps, wasn't getting to take a lot of snaps, and I was almost at a point where I wanted to go home. I didn't know what the reason was that I was here. I thought at first maybe I was here to push Bernie, maybe I was here to push Todd Philcox to be a better backup quarterback. For a moment, I thought that I wasn't going to be part of the Cleveland Browns 93 team. And then at some point, I had a chance to play in some preseason games and tried to make the best of my opportunities, which I feel like I did, being that I'm now the starting quarterback for Cleveland. But I think back, and had I been a little bit weak-minded, I probably would have left and wouldn't have been here talking to you today.
Well, you know, not to rehash the whole thing, but it's like I have to ask you about the Bernie thing because everybody wants to know. I mean, that's something that everybody still is curious about because Bernie was such a fixture.
You know, at first, I guess there were some mixed emotions there, and I was a little confused in some of the changes, but, you know, I was getting paid to do a job, and that's what I tried to concentrate on. I had a few telephone conversations with him that night after he was released, and he seemed to be handling it pretty well and in a first-class way. But, you know, it is part of the business, and those are things that we never think will happen to ourselves, but at some time they do. And there's not one particular way to deal with it. Everyone deals with it in their own way.
Do you have a game day ritual?
Not really, other than I like to drive over to the stadium by myself, get my thoughts together, you know, think about the game plan, get here a little bit early so I can get my ankles taped and get dressed before a lot of the guys get there and there's too much noise in the locker room. So other than that, I really don't have a big ritual.
Favorite food?
Favorite food is just really a lot of Italian food, you know, pasta with some red sauce. I mean, that's my favorite.
What about a pet peeve, something that really bugs you?
Something that really bugs me is when people chew potato chips with their mouth open, real close to my ear. That's my pet peeve. It just bugs me.
Specifically potato chips, though?
Just anything crunchy and loud.
I think one thing that people would want to know is, from you, Vinny, is what is your opinion about what might be different this year that will set the team up for a more successful season than last year?
Well, I liked what we were doing towards the end of last season. We really started to move the ball well. We were throwing the ball down the field a little bit more than we were in the past. And I know with the changes as far as some coaches, the coaching staff goes, with Rod Dowhauer as the quarterback coach now and Steve Crosby as the offensive coordinator, just working with them these past few months, I think it's going to be really exciting for our offense. I think we're going to go into our first game knowing that we have an explosive offense, knowing that we have a talented football team. So I'm excited about getting into the season and really opening up the passing game. And again, that depends on the play calling, but I really feel like Steve Crosby is going to open it up and let us air the ball out this year, and you're going to see a lot of exciting football.
Jackie, I think all of us are a little anxious to see what this new offense can do,
Definitely.
seeing that offensive coordinator Steve Crosby sort of kept everything under wraps in the preseason. Vinny and the rest of the guys really didn't get to show us much.
Well, what definitely was not under wraps was the defense. In 4 preseason games, we saw 8 turnovers, 4 of them by safety Eric Turner. And a little later on, we're going to visit with E-Rock and his safety mate, Stevan Moore, right after this.
And Stevan Moore stay healthy this season and play that way, I think they'll be recognized throughout the league as the best pair of safeties.
Well, you know that Bill Belichick already believes that. He talked about it last year, and he talked about it in the preseason, and Eric got his 4 turnovers, so...
And, of course, Stevan not only can cover the fastest receivers in the league, but he can thunder up to the line and stop runners like a linebacker. Let's listen on this Inside the Huddle to what these 2 standouts have to say about their job.
The best ever? Well, I'm in the process of playing now. You know, we have some great receivers. Jerry Rice, Andre Rison. They all have their own strengths, so they all do different things, so we really can't just pick one.
Yeah, speaking for tight ends, you know, I'm mostly covering tight ends most of the time. And I would have to say either Eric Green, Pittsburgh, Shannon Sharp. They both tough tight ends, and you know, Sharp, he's more like a receiver. One I remember the most, maybe the New England game where, you know, I hit the receiver. He was coming across the middle and messed around and hurt Najee Mustafa on the blow. So I didn't hit him, but the blow actually, he took the blow. So I can remember that hit the most.
I like the Steeler one, too. That was a good one, too.
Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Stone got a good swing.
Eric come in full choke sometimes, you know, 18 yards deep, head down.
I'm telling you, full speed. I mean, the friendly fires, what we call it, you get hurt by your own players. You know, that's the worst. And he's good for that. He's put a few players out now. And, you know, you want them to call the blitz. You know, you can't do anything unless your number is called. If it's called, you know, you want to be, then you're ready.
Yeah, you want to be the guy, you know, you want to be the guy to make the play. You know what I mean? You don't want to be the guy that is not ready and not prepared when a situation come up like that.
That's not selfishness. That's called being a player. You mean,
right.
The great players want that opportunity.
Being a professional also. So you want to go out and compete, and each down you're out there on the field, each play you want to compete and make the play and get recognition and get respect.
You know, gaining respect is exactly what Stevan and Eric are doing, and you can bet, Jackie, that the Bengal receivers are going to be aware of them.
Well, both of these players are bigger and stronger because of their work with the Browns strength and conditioning coach Jerry Simmons, who has for a number of years been sharing his advice on conditioning with us on this show, and he will do that this year as well.
And let me guess, he's going to be assisted by local Taekwondo instructor Joe Kim.
That's right. Now, Joe also works on flexibility with the players and some of the hand-to-hand battles that linemen go through every play. Now, here's Jerry.
And Joe with our first edition of Shaping Up.
Well, Joe, here we are again. our third season of Browns shaping up?
Well, I'm glad to be back, Coach, and now that we got our players in shape, it's time to get our fans in shape as well.
Yeah, I think it's a good start always when you're talking about an exercise program to always go see your doctor.
Now, could it be a family physician, or do I have to go see a special doctor?
I don't think there's really no need to go see a specialist. You can go to your family physician, get checked out, and then you'll be ready to start, just like our athletes do before they start out their program.
Number 2, Coach, in choosing a fitness facility, what do I need to look out for? What should I stay away from? How do I go about doing this?
Well, that's a very important question. The thing that you want to do when you go into a facility is make sure they have the things that you want. If you want a pool, a swimming pool, a jacuzzi, or a sauna, make sure they have those things. When you're talking about the exercise equipment-wise, do they have the machines that you want? Do they have a free weight area? Do they have the life cycles or the bikes, the Stairmasters, all the different things that you want in a fitness facility? Also, along with that, when you're making the tour, make sure that you ask the people if they can set you up on programs and that they can help you with your questions as you go along in your training. Okay, Joe, number 3 is making sure that you have the proper clothing. It's always important to have loose-fitting clothing, something that does not bind you up and that you feel comfortable with.
You know, Coach, being an avid runner, I'm very picky about my shoes. Now, do you agree that shoes are the most important piece of clothing, and what type of shoes are we going to need for our program?
Well, without a doubt, shoes are very, very important. And for our program, a good cross-training shoe would work just fine. If you're a distance runner like yourself, then I would make sure that I had a good running shoe, just made for distance running. With our shoes, the cross-training, you'll be able to do not only the racquetball court, in the weight room, stairs, a lot of different areas, and some short distance type things. Now, we've given you a number of different things to get your program started. Next time, what we'll do is we'll give you some fitness tests, and we'll also take some body measurements.
You know, Jackie, I wish I had talked to Jerry before I signed that one deal with the health club a few years ago.
Ah, Jim, you look good. Besides, you've got all season to follow that advice, so don't worry about it. Now, we promised all of you more football. We're going to keep that promise when we come back. Bill will talk about the best plays of the preseason. Stay with us.
Now, how should the fans interpret that? How do you feel about the 3-1 preseason?
Well, I'd like to carry that winning percentage into the regular season, but let me throw it back to you, Jim. How do you feel about what happened in the preseason this year?
Well, Bill, I don't think the 3-1 record really means a lot. I think what's important is what we saw within the framework of those 3 wins and a loss, and that, of course, was that we knew certain veteran players were going to be playing where we've got them, and we wanted them to play together, get more time, and develop as a unit. A lot of young players out there that we needed to see and evaluate, and obviously in the last preseason game that was most important because that final cut was just around the corner. So I think that those things we accomplished pretty much what we set out to see in the preseason. The 3-1 record was nice, but it doesn't really mean much.
Well, Jim, I couldn't have said it better myself. Let's take a look back at those 4 preseason games.
Being chased and in the grasp and brought down by Dan Footman, who showed that speed the Browns are so high on. A bit of a blitz. Graham under pressure, throws, intercepted by Eric Turner. 50, 40, 30. He's going to go all the way.
Hey, Toot, what are they doing? Going for 2 points. Now they're taking away from my playing time.
Carrier in motion, 3-step drop, timing pattern, corner for Jackson, flag and touchdown.
Anytime they're over under in that sub, we got to be alert for Earth. They're coming somewhere.
Gene, good job on that.
Nice job on that.
You guys did a really good job.
Mitchell straight back in the pocket, looks left, throws deep up the sideline, intended for Herman Moore. He's got it, and he's gone all the way for a touchdown.
Just squeeze out, let him do a little bit better job of tackling. We're in good shape.
Carrier in motion, Vinny straight back, looks right, throws complete to Bardell, and Tommy walks in for the touchdown.
Don't blow the layup, Tommy.
First and 10 Lions, and Mitchell straight back. 5-step drop going deep down the sideline again for Herman Moore, intercepted by Eric Turner. Vinny straight back, full drop, protection, now dumps it off to Metcalf. 45, he's got a man in front of him, 40, 35. This time Montgomery fields it at his 2. Nice kick. Derek Alexander being driven back all the way to his own 27-yard line. Starts up the middle, now cuts it to the outside. 40, 45, 50, down the sideline. He has one man to beat, breaks a tackle, 10-5, touchdown, Cleveland Browns. Derek Alexander.
Not a bad show for the rookie, and no flags on the play.
Nice run, rookie, but you can do it twice in one game.
They show motion, and on first down, Jeff George rolls left, back in the pocket, plenty of protection, throws, balls tipped, balls intercepted by Stevan Moore at the 40, 35, 30. He's got a man in front of him, one man to beat, cuts it back inside to the 5 to the 4-yard line. James Jones in the eye in front of Tommy Bardell. The give to touchdown Tommy, and he's got one from 2 yards out, and the Browns take the lead quickly here at the stadium.
Where to go? Let's keep it up.
Now Metcalf is lined up parallel.
Two-point stance. Should be a pass.
Metcalf in motion, a pass play. Vinny throws, corner for Jackson. Touchdown, Cleveland Browns. 16-yard touchdown pass. Very nice timing. Vinny laid it right in there. Michael with a step on defender D.J. Johnson, the former Steeler. And the Browns go on top 20-7. The give is to Baldwin. Behind Horde, kicks it outside. Stutter steps and then dives in for the score. Touchdown, Cleveland Browns.
Hold it. Enough of the preseason. Let's get on with the regular season.
Bill, before we put it completely aside, any concerns about losing that last game?
Well, I think that was a good lesson for us. We didn't play with the type of intensity that we need to. We turned the ball over. We gave up a couple of big plays on defense and had too many penalties. And I think we all found out that we can't play that way and win.
All right, before we go, what's the last thing you'll say to your team before kickoff down at Riverfront?
Well, I'll tell them to play smart, but to be physical. We got to go out there and be aggressive, but play smart, take care of the football, avoid the penalties, and keep getting turnovers on defense.
Good luck against the Bengals, Coach.
Thanks,
all right. Jackie, we're ready for the Bengals bash now, so what do we got to look forward to next week?
Of course, we'll review the Browns' win over the Bengals, and we'll preview the home opener against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Plus, we'll profile Browns artist-in-residence, Steve Everett. Thanks for watching this edition of the Browns Insider. See you next week.